Have you ever wondered how much money you could make with the laborers and how you can set them up the most efficient way? Well, that's exactly what we're going to be finding out on this video. So, that being said, what exactly did we do to test this out? Well, I got myself a fully maxed island. In this case, it's currently in Martlock. And this island is equipped with 16 houses with laborers. The first thing we're gonna show you is how exactly can you build the houses, as well as what do you need to build them. If you already know this, you can skip forward to the next section. So the first thing you obviously are gonna need is an island, ideally fully maxed. This will cost you up to 26.5 million silver, but it is very worth it even for laborers or other things. The second thing you're going to need is the workers or the laborers are going to require a house for them to live in. In this case, we can build up to 16 houses in our island because there are 16 plots. That being said, in order to build a house, you need three things. You need rough stone, rough logs, and just regular blocks. Now, the blocks are always going to be the same quantity. In this case, they're going to be 180. The only thing varying is the tier, depending on which tier house you have. So if you want an expert house or a tier 5, you will need tier 5 blocks. Now the rough stone and rough logs are always going to be the same, but the only thing that varies is the amount you need to upgrade the house. Now the first thing you're going to be required are the laborers, of course. Now there are two options to get the laborers. You can buy them directly in your island or in your house for 1,000 silver, but they will be tier 1, or you can go directly to the marketplace and buy them already leveled up. However, this process is generally way more expensive, so make sure to decide for yourself. Then we're gonna need a couple of...
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Things. First off, for every labor, you are going to be requiring one bed of the equivalent tier. So in this case, if it's a tier 6 house, you want to have tier 6 furniture. Now for every 3 laborers, you require one table. And lastly, the last thing you're going to need are tomes. Now for each tier of the house, you are going to be requiring one tome of that specific level. So if you have a tier 2 house, you need Novice or Adventurer's Handbook. If you have a tier 2, you need a Novice or a Magical Tome. If you have tier 3, Ancient Scripture. Tier 5, Tome of Knowledge. And tier 6, Encyclopedia of Power. If you move up to tier 7, you are going to be requiring tier 7 beds, tier 7 tables, and the tier 7 tome as well. So, now that we know this, the last thing we're going to require is, of course, the things we're going to feed our laborers to. In this case, they are called journals. In this case, there are a bunch of journals. There's blacksmiths, stonecutters, lumberjacks, prospectors, croppers, gamekeepers, so on and so forth. The list is endless. But you have to decide which one you want to have. In this case, I went for blacksmith, as I do a lot of crafting in my blacksmith, so it's very good. Now, it took me about 2 months in order to be where the laborers are right now, so tier 6, which has been a lot of time in order to make this work. Now, in order to get these blacksmiths, there's 2 options. Again, you can buy the empty books on the marketplace or the laborer and fill them up yourself, or you can simply buy them yourself already filled in the marketplace. So now that we know the basics of laborers, the only thing that's left to do is go out, give the books to our laborers, and collect yesterday's profit and see how much money we make with them.
Entombed in my mind, can't seem to break away. Lost in time, thinking about better days. Do you ever get used to the pain? 'Cause I don't know if I can do this again. Now you got me wondering why you let me die alone inside. I die for you.
So after collecting everything, we get a total of 1.47 million silver. Now that sounds like a lot. Well, because it is. But there's always a but. You have to remember that we paid for the books. In this case, we paid roughly 19,500 silver per book. Now we filled 49, which means that we have paid a total of 936,000 silver in filled journals. And from those, we only got 1.47 million. That means that we made 534,000 silver profit. Now, this is a lot of money, don't get me wrong. And it's definitely something that takes 5 minutes to do, so it's super quick. However, you have to take something in consideration, which a lot of people don't, which is the insane investment that you had to do in order to get here. So, before we go any further, let's exactly break down how much it costed to make this entire island. So, each house in rough logs uses 450 of them. In this case, each one costs 25 silver, so that's 11,250 silver. As for the rough stone, it takes 93. Each one costing 185, that's another 17,205 silver. Now the most expensive thing is probably gonna be the blocks when it comes to the house. In this case, it uses 180 of all the tiers from tier 2 to tier 6. This gives a total of 629,460 silver. So this means that each house costs 657,915 silver. Now if we multiply this by 16, which is the total number of houses, this means that we get 10,526,000 silver. Now if this was the end, it would be a great investment, but you have to take into consideration there is also furnitures inside the house, so the beds and the tables are also expensive. If you're interested in learning an exploit to make these items for cheaper, make sure to click this link right here. So for each bed, we paid 125,000 silver, which means that for each house, we paid 375,000. For each table, it costed us around 350,000 silver. So this means that per house, we are wasting another 725,000 in furniture. Now, if you multiply this by 16 houses, it's another 11,600,000, leaving our grand total to a whopping 22,126,000 silver. Now, with this being said, this is pretty much your total investment for the island. However, you are still gonna need to either buy or fill your own books in order to feed the laborers. So, what does this mean? Well, we invested 22.1 million silver, and it's gonna take us a whopping 44 days for us to get our money back. And only on the 45th day is the day that we get profit. So it's up to anyone that builds their island to know if they're gonna use it for more than 44 days. If the answer is yes, and you're okay with spending some of your silver here instead of on premium, for example, this is a great way of getting passive income. However, you're only gonna make profit after a month and a half, which a lot of people don't really enjoy. So it's really up to the individual player to find out if it's worth it or not for them. For me, since I play this game for the long run, it's very good because I plan to play it for more than a month and a half, and the higher tiers, tier 7s and tier 8s, are even more profitable than the tier 6. I'll be making a video about them very soon whenever I get to T8, so please make sure to like and subscribe the video if you're interested in finding out what happens. That being said, thank you so much for watching, and as usual, Nendys out. Hey, the video's over. What are you still doing here? Jokes aside, thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you guys have a lovely 2025. I can't thank you guys enough for being here and making this 2024 a whole new experience for me. With that being said, as usual, Nendys out.